Today we're talking about technical development, and there's no better way to train it than having a traverse wall, which is basically 0 degrees, most likely straight, or plus degrees. You do not want to have it overhanging because that increases difficulty and demanding exercises in a very fast way. See, starting off, we have 3 criteria for the whole exercise, which takes approximately 7 to 12 minutes. Every training before you start off with a weighted exercise or bouldering, you can use it as a warm-up, preferably if your shoulders and legs and arms are warm, then you shall continue doing that without having any means of injury. See, starting off, you just take a start on the left or the right, and then you move with the 3 criteria, which is you have a straight arm, shoulder blades back, and then you work with your foot technique and your hip movement, which means you're not going only bending one arm, going to the next hold and then bending it, right? That's not how climbing properly works. See, here we're trying to include our hip movement, which is important being on the wall, moving from one side to another, because then it makes any move a lot easier trying to control the hip movement in a direction you want to go. And that is one criteria, controlling and knowing the direction of your hip movement and including it on the wall. And then there is the straight arm. So of course there will be bending if you move from one side to another side, but trying always to come back into the neutral position of having a straight arm, not being in a full bend, because that is economically really bad for your climbing and you feel pumped and have less power than you normally have. So that is definitely one thing you can look out for. And the third thing is foot swaps. There are so many varieties of foot swaps, going behind, going in front, or just, making space and then switching it, or coming from the top, putting it away from below. So see, there's your way on how you can try to change it up a bit, because if you've been doing it the same all the time, like going behind or going up front, you get a different variety of how you can do it in a boulder, in a lead route. And that is what you include in that exercise. So moving from one side to another, I'm trying to be on the wall, trying to use my hips, going to one side, making space for my foot or taking the next best foothold, going into that neutral position, and then using my hips again, right? And then you can make it a bit more funkier, taking moves that are further away, taking not only jerks but crimps and pinches and underclings. And that is how you basically structure that exercise. And then by any means, depending on if you're a beginner or an advanced climber, you can make it more difficult or more easy on your needs. There's also one more exercise, which is really cool, helping you to learn complex movement, including your hips, which is you take a hold, depending on your difficulty and on your likeness, with 2 footholds. For me, it's like my left arm and the blue hold right here. And that is my neutral position. That is the position I'm always coming back to. And then I'm looking for another hold. I'm taking that pink one here. I'm having my neutral position. I'm using my hip explosiveness, coming to that hold and looking firstly for the perfect position for my hip to be. So ideally, since that hold, if I'm pulling on it, is pulling me down, ideally my hip would be here. So I have the best pulling and hip position, right? If my hold is that one here, I'm pulling more into my left side. So ideally I want to be below the hold I'm pulling from. And then you can develop that in any way possible. Like here, if I'm going to that jerk, I really want to be in that side to be pulling into the hold. And you can then play around with that, go really far into shoulder moves or jerks or underclings. And then you'll definitely experience a difference in your climbing style. and you will definitely, most definitely I tell you, see a development in your technical ability on the wall and also in your grading system.